Salakaya Sakshamilitamina Tasmai Shri Gurhe Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahim Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamsa Sri Rupam Sagrasatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parisama Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Pancha Kalpataru Vaisa Kripa Sindhuvevasya Patitanam Pavanero Vaisnavevo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasarine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasattade Setarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yes, Madhus.
Jai. Thank you. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Prthu Maharaj is being glorified and now he's starting his first action services. He looked very cute, very sweet, very effulgent and nice, and now he's going to take certain hard decisions. So a leader means making hard decisions, and we can learn now from Prthu Maharaj how he does that. Who would like to start reading the 17th chapter?
I can read Madhus.
Mataji, I can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
yes,
Mataji.
Yes, Madhus. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Chapter 17. The earth offends Prithu. Faced with a famine, Prithu threatens to punish the earth goddess Bhumi. Maitreya squinted up at the midday sun. It's time to bathe. It's time to bathe and recite our sacred mantras.
Right.
Sorry.
Please continue here.
Said Vidura. Finish telling me about King Prithu. Maitreya laughed. Your eagerness.
Okay.
Your eagerness to transcendent. Your eagerness is infectious, Vidura. I can understand why you are so dear to Krishna. I shall certainly tell you more. Let us take a moment to chant our mantras and we can resume very soon. Vidura agreed, and when the two men were again settled, he asked, what did Prithu do after he was coronated? Maitreya said, when the court Brahmins had finished reciting his praises and predicting his future glorious deeds, Prithu respectfully offered them gifts and worship. He spoke sweet words and showed respect to all present, the sages, Brahmins, ministers, servants, citizens of every caste, and people who had traveled there from other communities. He respectfully acknowledged the many admirers who had gathered to see him, greatly pleasing them. Maitreya smiled at Vidura. What more do you wish to know? Vidura thought a moment and then said, you mentioned Prithu harvested the earth like a cowherd milks a cow. Did you mean this literally, or was it merely a figure of speech? Maitra replied, Mother Earth literally assumed the form of cow and Prithu milked her? How fascinating, said Vidura. Since the earth goddess can assume any form, why did she appear as a cow? Furthermore, when Prithu milked her, who became her calf? And what was the milking pot? How did Prithu level the earth's surface, which is by nature uneven? Pray, tell me why Indra stole the sacrificial horse from Prithu. Describe also, if you will.
Amazing, huh? Amazing kind of curiosity and everything of Vidura. Huh? It's so nice to see Vidura in this light.
Yeah, he's so wise, it seems so childlike.
Right.
Encounter with Sanat Kumar, the greatest Vedic scholar, after hearing transcendental knowledge from him and applying it in his life. What destination did the king attain? Prithu was a powerful incarnation of Krishna's potency, and so talks about him are most enjoyable and produce all good fortune. Know me to be a devotee of your esteemed self as well as Lord Krishna. Please, therefore, recount me all the stories of this illustrious son of Vena who milked the cow shaped earth. Maitreya's face lit up. Dear Vidura, your inquisitiveness to hear spiritual topics is deeply inspiring. I'm blessed to have your association. I shall happily answer your intelligent questions. When Prithu first assumed the throne as the protector of the Brahmins and people, there was a great drought afflicting the world. The starving citizens appealed to the king to help them. Listen as I describe what happened. A group of leading citizens entered the throne room. Their fine clothes hung loosely on their emaciated frames. Prithu beckoned them to come closer and gave permission for them to speak. Their leader said, Dear king, just as the tree with a fire burning in the hollow of the trunk gradually dries up, we are drying up due to the fire of hunger in our stomachs. You are the protector of surrendered souls, and you have been appointed to give us employment. Therefore, we come to you now. You are not only the king, but an incarnation of Vishnu, the king of.
Okay, let's pause. I just want to make a small comment here. You know, in India, there's I don't know, right now is a little different, but there is a kind of a culture that if you're very skinny, they consider you poor. So here, this point about like fine clothes hung loosely on their emaciated frames, and this reminded me how it's like that. You know, in many places in India, if there is like a thin person, like lean type of person will go somewhere, they tend to assume that you're poor. And you know, if you see like Marwadi people, and even in like West Bengal, it's a little bit of that culture. If you're chubby, you know, like, oh, you're chubby, and even fat is even better in India, because fat means you have money to eat ghee and you eat very luxuriously. And so when you're big framed, there is a tendency to think you have a lot to eat, which means you're rich. And I mean, I even, especially many years ago, I always had like a thinner frame, you know, like that. So sometimes I would go to some shop, like with my friend, who's also very lean. So we'd go to shopping to buy some things. And back then I used to do some kind of buying things and selling. So I would go to buy things, and they would often, many times, not for you, or like they would assume that I can't afford to buy that or something. So, and then in the West, it's the opposite. In Western countries, it's like, it's not like that. You know, it's a fat is not necessarily considered rich. But in India, somehow it's like a Vedic, or it's like a traditional belief system. You're fat, you're rich. And among Indians, especially in villages or especially in towns side thing, it's like a unknown psychological subconscious belief system. And I find that to be very interesting. How you're skinny means they'll poor. And my husband is like big and tall. So because he's big, now people think, this person must be rich. And the same, even if some other foreign devotee will go and the person is thin, Indian people consider, this person, I don't think they have money, they don't have money to eat and be fat. So this is very interesting. I really find that to be very interesting. The psychological belief system. Thank you, Prema Pallavi Mataji. Somebody else likes to start reading? You're not only the king, but an incarnation of Vishnu, the king of all kings, and can give us occupational engagements. For you are the master of our livelihood. Please arrange to satisfy our hunger by distributing food grains. Please take care of us, lest we soon die of hunger. Somebody likes to continue?
I can read, Mataji.
Mm.
Prithu reassured them that he would supply sufficient food. He gave orders that the men be properly fed. When the citizens were taken away to eat, Prithu questioned his ministers. After discussing the problem at length, the king and his ministers rode out to assess the situation. They discovered that much of the terrain was mountains and difficult to farm, but that was not the whole problem. Even where farming was possible, nothing would grow. Ample rain had fallen, but the land remained barren. Despite the people's endeavors, no crops grew. Prithu gazed out at the bare landscape. Why was the earth withholding her produce? Sacrifice was being made to the gods, including to the earth goddess Bhumi. And the people were engaged in their respective duties. The problem was clear. Mother Earth was delinquent in her duty. It behooved her to provide their necessities. Prithu's eyes turned red. He appeared like Lord Shiva, whose anger destroys the world. He fitted an arrow to his bow and aimed it at the earth. Bhumi trembled with fear. Assuming the form of a cow, she fled as a deer flees from a hunter. Prithu gave chase in his chariot. The goddess fled into outer space, but he remained in close pursuit. Seeing the king intent on slaying her, Bhumi's heart pounded. At last she turned around in despair and fell before Prithu. Prithu glared at her. With coppery eyes, his bow still raised. Bhumi said, "My lord, you are the people's protector. Why do you wish to kill me? I have committed no sin. As the king, surely you know that neither the innocent nor woman should be killed. Since I am an innocent woman, I do not know why you wish to kill me. Even if a woman does commit a sin, still no one should place a hand on her. So why is it that you, the king and the merciful protector of the poor, wish to harm me? My dear king, outer space is just like a great ocean. I and all the other planets are like strong boats, supporting those who stand on us. If I am slain, how will you prevent yourself and your subjects from drowning in the ocean at the bottom of the universe? Prithu, towering above the terrified cow, spoke in a...
We can notice one thing. When a great leader is given responsibility, they are not so eager for praise. As we saw Prthu Maharaj yesterday, was like, why are you praising me? I haven't even done anything. There was so much humility, right? But in modern day situation, Kali Yuga and the conditioned mind, there's a little bit of an opposite situation. Politicians and people, they take all the praise on themselves before even they do anything. They make people their slaves even before they do anything. They make what you call as future faking. There's a typical like narcissistic leadership thing. They will fake, oh, I'll do this, I'll engage you in this way, I'll give you this kind of a post or a position, and they will fake it, and they will make people have very high hopes, and then actually they will only do things that make them comfortable. And whereas Prithu Maharaj was so humble when it came to praising him, but he is so strong and firm when it comes to putting things in the right order. So this is the difference between a real leader and somebody who's really insecure and just dependent on other people to give them some kind of validation, but doesn't really have the capacity to lead. So I find that to be very common, these days. It's those who are really good leaders, they won't come forward and they'll say, I want to be leader, I want to be guru, I want to be. They don't. But those who are like more into power or position more, and they really need that, then they may sometimes come forward. Not all the time that somebody who comes forward is not qualified. It's not all the time that doesn't come forward is qualified. But there is a tendency there to those who are aggressive, and the wheel that creaks the most gets the oil. So those people who make noise get attention, and those people who are quiet, they won't even be given position. But a Brahmana, in this case, Prithu Maharaj is Kshatriya, but even a Brahmana, when they're given the position, they will be able to even act like Kshatriya. Brahmana can do all the four, like he can be a Brahmana, he can do Kshatriya duty also, he can do Shudras also, he can do Vaishyas also. Because Brahmins are very clever, but maybe not for a long time, but they have that capacity to do. And Prithu Maharaj having all the great qualities, so does like Prahlad Maharaj, right? Has good qualities. They can do anything. They don't hesitate from taking a stand, making this strong decisions for the welfare of others. They're not weak, very strong. And at one point, when Arjuna becomes weak, Krishna criticizes him. Hey, this is weakness. Why are you saying you want to run away from the battlefield? How can you say you don't want to fight? Right? He says, Shudram Hridaya Daurbalyam. He says, hey, this is weakness of your heart. And this is opposite of what we see here in Prithu Maharaj. No weakness of heart. Even it's a woman, and he's becoming really heavy now. So let's see what happens. Somebody else likes to continue reading? Thank you, Snehavati Mataji.
Mataji, I can read.
Okay.
What was the last part? Next page, last page, right?
Yeah. The cow spoke in a resounding voice. Yeah.
My dear Art, you have disobeyed my kingly authority. I offered you sacrifice expecting that you would provide sufficient food grains. Although you accepted your share of sacrificial offerings, you have not provided the people with sustenance. Therefore, you are liable to be killed. Although you eat the green grass of sacrificial offerings each day, you are not given meal. Since you willfully commit offense, you are surely punishable, even though you have assumed the form of a cow. You have so lost your intelligence that you hid within yourself the hearts and brains created by Brahma. Prithu drew back his arrow, aiming it at the trembling Bhumi. I shall now cut you to pieces and feed your flesh to the starving people of my kingdom. It is the duty next person of the king to kill cruel persons who care only for themselves at the cost of others. Such an execution is not actually killing, for it benefits all, including the culprit.
Prithu kept his gaze fixed on the petrified goddess. You have lost your good sense because you are overly proud. Although you have assumed the form of a cow, I shall, I shall you cut you, I shall cut you into small pieces like grain. Do not think you are indispensable. I am capable of upholding the entire population by my own mystic power. Bhumi shook violently. Prithu looked as frightening as Yamraja. She bowed low before the king, her front hooves together in a can you remove that? Playful attitude. In a quivering voice, she said, I offer my respects unto you, the Supreme Personality, although you always remain in your next please, in your own transcendental sorry, uh, in your own transcendental position, you simultaneously expand your energies into the various forms of this world. Unlike other masters, you are never bewildered by the material energy. My dear Lord, you create and direct the entire cosmos. You have also created me, the Earth planet, the resting place of countless living beings. You are fully independent and can do as you wish. Now that you want to kill me, is there anyone who can protect me? In the beginning, you created the moving and non-moving beings by your inconceivable potency. By that same energy, you are now prepared to sustain them. You are also the supreme protector of religion. Why then do you wish to kill me, even though I am in the form of a cow? Prithu scolded. Are you accusing me of irreligiosity?
Amazing, huh? How Prthu Maharaj is so tough and it's really.
Bhumi lowered her head. No, my lord, not at all. But your plans and pastimes are hard to understand, at least by one like myself who is covered by your illusory energy. For example, you are one person, and yet you expand yourself into many forms. Although you are the ultimate creator of the universe, it appears as if Brahma creates. Therefore, I simply offer my respect to you, who possesses inconceivable energy. You generate the entire cosmos with its elements, senses, intelligence, false ego, controlling gods, and many other ingredients. Not only are you its creator, but also its maintainer and destroyer. By your supreme will, everything is sometimes manifest and sometimes not. I offer my respectful obeisances to you, the Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. My Lord, please show me mercy. Kindly remember how you once assumed the form of a boar and rescued me from the bottom of the Garbhadaka ocean. You became famous as Dharadhara, he who holds the earth. Yet now, with your serpent arrows, you wish to kill me, who like a boat keeps everything afloat and who am one of your own energies, composed of the three material modes. Bhumi shook her head. I am completely bewildered by your acts. It is impossible to understand your pure devotee's accents. What to speak of yours? Everything appears contradictory and astonishing to me. Mataji, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Like Prithu Maharaj clearly explained, mentioned to Bhumi Devi, right, that you are not giving enough food to my citizens in spite
Yeah.
of getting your share. So why Bhumi Devi is confused about?
So there are always different religious principles, okay? One, like you don't go and try to beat up a goddess. That's one principle. Okay? So the king has to follow so many different kinds of rules. But in times of crisis, in times of emergencies, one principle, one value weighs more than other. Okay, so plus Krishna, right? You have how can you understand Krishna's activities? What Bhumi Devi here is saying, she's totally bewildered because, we see usually, you remember Parikshit, when he approaches Kali and then he sees that bull and the cow. You remember that story? And then he was very, very compassionate to cow. You remember? He becomes very gentle, and he very caring. So that's more like how do you call it? Duty of a person to take care of the dependents in that way, right? And on the other side also, she's bewildered. She's bewildered because she wants protection. And this point, how it's relevant for us.
We lost you.
Sorry?
Lost you. How it's relevant for us after that I couldn't
Oh,
hear.
maybe my connection. Okay, let me move. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying it's very relevant for us because sometimes we become devotees, we come to Krishna consciousness, we give up so many other materialistic activities, and then still there are some difficult problems in our life, struggles, which are like, we wonder, come on, before coming to Krishna consciousness, it was not like this, but after choosing Krishna, why am I struggling so much? Why this is happening? What is the Lord's will? Why he's putting me through this difficulty? I want to only do devotional service. Why this thing is happening, which is blocking my devotional service? So sometimes we have this kind of situations in our life, which we wonder, what is the Lord's plan? He's supposed to be Bhakta Vatsala. He's supposed to be Karuna Sagara. He's supposed to be very merciful. But I am not experiencing mercy. I'm actually struggling with A, B, and C. On top of that, I'm not feeling help of Krishna or the devotees, why I'm feeling this way. So sometimes we have this emotion, right? So Bhumi Devi is experiencing something similar, that she's feeling, but why he's not understanding me? And she's quoting, right? Oh, you saved me from the bottom of the Garbhodak ocean when Hiranyaksha, right? Hiranyaksha was taking her away, and then she's remembering, how come now you want to kill me with your arrows? Why so much harshness? You're supposed to be taking care of all the entities, your creator, and why are you doing this? She's bewildered because we'll see and further what's going to happen. So for her, it's contradictory. I mean, I can personally, I have this kind of emotion sometimes. Why this particular service was stopped? Or one time I had a website for premarital training. My Guru Maharaj had given instruction, and I worked with some devotee, like a group of devotees, and that one particular devotee had their own concerns. And on the day it was ILS, and it was all hype, and I gave the cards and the brochures to all the GBCs and all the leaders and everything, and we were waiting for that day that we will launch that website. And I'd worked really hard for 2 years on that. And then I remember it was like a turning point in my life, I'd worked so hard. And then the day of the launch, that particular devotee, one particular devotee, he took away the access to that. Like, he just said, I don't know, I don't want to give this to you anymore. And then he pulled down the website, and it was so like hurtful and embarrassing, and I couldn't understand, why would Krishna do something like that? Why would Krishna let something like that happen? And sometimes it takes a while to figure out why the Lord did something. But it can be bewildering. We need protection, we need confusion, but it looks like we're being punished. For example, I have been discussing about this 12-step thing, recovery and inventories about being honest, being fearless, being unselfish, and being free from resentment, right? I've been discussing that in the other classes. It gives us, sometimes it's not that I don't want to, I want to be free from bad habits. I want to do right, but sometimes I don't have the strength. I don't have the power. So sometimes I may expect that Krishna will help me, but then when difficulties come even more at me, there is a thing like, I'm already struggling, and not that I don't want to do, but there is no strength in me, Krishna. So there's that sense of powerlessness and hopelessness and bewilderment. What is Krishna trying to teach me? Why is Krishna like that? So Bhumi Devi is going through the same emotions. Yeah. Okay. Is that
Okay.
helpful?
Mataji, I had a question. Really, like, I mean, I'm not trying to be like in a very judgmental way, but I'm just surprised that Vidura was hearing all this for the first time. He had no idea about all these, like the Prithu Maharaj and all of that at all.
Well, there are a couple of explanations for that. For pure devotee doesn't necessarily mean they know everything.
We lost him.
Or Dhruva Maharaj, they're very humble. They are not so into showing off that they know. Sometimes they're humble. They want to know. And the third thing is, if you know something, who says you can't ask questions? Right? You can ask again and again. You're so eager to hear the Leelas. And the most important of all the reasons, this book that we are reading is not like Bhagavatam as it is. This is written by it's written by Krishna Dharma Prabhu. There are certain, not all the questions are exactly asked like this, just to be clear. Some of these things are a little bit of a creative license he uses to make it easy for us to remember the kind of a question and answer. But it's not exactly asked like that in the original Bhagavatam if you go and read. It's not all these questions.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
But it must be understood that pure devotee doesn't mean they don't have questions. It doesn't mean they're shy to ask. It doesn't mean that they know everything in terms of knowledge. They are pure devotees, but it's not. I mean, how much can you know? There is such vast knowledge, Vedic knowledge. So many Puranas are there, and that's the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's the cream of the cream of the cream.
I think, Mataji, even in seventh Canto when we started, the Pariksit Maharaj was also asking questions to Sukadeva Goswami like that, right? He was saying like how Krishna can be like, what was the word? Partial. Yeah. So he was also pure devotee, but he also asked, he had doubts like about Krishna's activities. He wanted to know.
Yeah, very, very good example. And we had that question also answered, right? Even remember when we were studying the seventh canto, the other side, Kante Prabhu also saying that, look, it's Parikshit is asking these questions out of humility.
Yes.
There is no shame in that, like that.
Like I really like that point that Prabhu was mentioning that, like here we see, Pariksit Maharaj, right, pure devotee, he got saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother. But it doesn't mean that he cannot have doubt. Like he was asking how Krishna can be person. So it was really eye-opening. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I should not ask this kind of question about authority or Krishna, like how they can be a person. But out of humility, he was expressing his concern.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit of a skewed or fantasy idea of perfection and like how things should be. We have a little bit of our own limited ideas, and we try to fit in Krishna's behavior or Arjuna's behavior or Kunti or Draupadi's behavior, and we ask questions based on our four defects and our limited understanding, right? But Srimad Bhagavatam is a very real thing. It's like, that's why we say person Bhagavatam and the book Bhagavatam. So when we read person Bhagavatam, the way they have lived, it's very realistic. It's very realistic. And it gives us hope, right? It gives us hope. Yeah.
And it just like somehow expert in breaking our misunderstanding or misconception.
True. So true. But what's that? The Atra Vastu Shivadham. It helps us to distinguish reality from illusion. In both ways, right? Illusion to think I'm this body, and then illusion to think that if it's a guru or a great devotee or something, they will never make mistakes, or they will be perfect and they will always understand everything. Then what's the point of Leela? This Prthu Maharaj is a Leela, and Leela has to be done realistically, authentically. Same thing with Hiranyakashipu, right? Jaya Vijaya, when they came as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they were fully 100% enemies of Krishna. You may say, but they're Jaya and Vijaya, they're devotee. Yeah, but now when they're playing the role, they're really playing the role. They're really serious about the enmity. Same thing when the Lord appears in different form, he plays the game well, really well. When Krishna fights, not different demons, Krishna fights, right? And every time he's fighting the demons, it's not fake. It's not like, oh, I know I'm God. I'm not. No, they really fight. He really kicks Shakatasura. He really beats Arishtasura. He really gives a hard time for Trinavarta, right? But it's done there is a fight. It's not like we saw Vena's case, the Brahmanas just uttered Om and then killed the Vena. It's not like that. There's really fights involved. There's a fight. God likes a good fight. And who else but Jaya and Vijaya can give them a good fight? So like that, Prthu Maharaj here is really involved in this role of being a king, right? He's involved. So what we're seeing unfolding with Bhumi Devi is a very realistic presentation of the duty of a king. Who else? Yeah, Prithu Maharaj is the best example of when he becomes Ramachandra also, right? You may say, come on, Ramachandra know about Sita. Why did he do that? Or, we have questions, right? Why? We have these questions. Yeah. Okay, we're going to start our Vishnu Sahasranam in 5 minutes, okay? I just need 5 minutes.